Hey, good morning and welcome to Breakthrough Walls. I'm Ken Walls and I'm your host. And I don't even know how to describe what I'm feeling today. I have an unbelievably special guest on. This guy is like, I'm telling you, he's going to lay down some wisdom that will change your life. He is the CEO of the Zig Ziglar Corp. He is the son of Zig Ziglar himself. The guy is filled, he's a best selling author. He's a husband, a father, a brother, a friend. He is a good, good man. And I want to welcome my buddy, Tom Ziglar, to the show. Tom, welcome to the show and thank you for being on.
You bet. Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to our time.
Dude, I've been chasing you for a year. And you're like, one day, I mean, you're so nice. I think people need to understand how nice of a guy you are because you were, you were literally boarding a plane to fly to Europe to do a big speaking engagement. And you were texting me back. You're like, I'm literally boarding a plane to leave. And so I'm just grateful that you've taken the time, man. So, as I told you, this show is about helping people get unstuck in life that have hit a wall or they're stuck somewhere. And I know life's not always been easy for you. So let's start with telling people, who you are, where you were born and raised.
You bet. Well, Tom Ziglar, and I was born in Columbia, South Carolina, but raised in Dallas, Texas. We moved to Dallas when I was 3, so it's really the only place I know. Uh, Dallas has amazing people, and I tell people with a big grin, I said, you know what the best part about Dallas is? And they say, what? I say, well, you can go anywhere in the world and the scenery's better. So it's a little boring here, no mountains, no ocean, kind of flat, but great, great people. So one of the things I learned from Dad early on is no matter where you are in the world, there's great people there.
Yes.
So you just got to go looking for them, and it's good. It's good being here. I have been blessed to work in the business now for over 30 years. Out of college, I started working here and kind of worked my way through it. And gosh, 8 or 9 years ago, I started speaking, and my first book came out in March of this year. And so what kind of started is, and I think a lot of people, I mean, this is probably the majority of people, you get out of college and you kind of take the first job you can.
I'm plugging your book, man.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, choose to win.
Yeah, love it. I love it.
So you kind of take the first job you can get that'll pay the bills. And I just got married, and so I started coming to work in the warehouse here at the company doing shipping, and then I worked in production, and then I moved over to sales, and then I realized what we do, and I fell in love with that. And so after the first few years, and then figuring out what we do and how it was connected to me, it's just been great. Hadn't been easy all the time, but it's been awesome.
So, I mean, your dad is referred to. I mean, when we first got on Skype this morning, let's just talk about that because I said, "Hey, how you doing, Tom?" And what'd you say?
I said, I'm doing better than good, but that's like genetically required.
Right, right. So your dad is known. He's known as perhaps the most positive man that ever lived, and um, I don't think. I don't know, and that's kind of where I'd like to hear your personal experience. But did you ever see your dad have a bad day?
Well, Dad said he never, he would say, well, I never had a bad day. But he did.
Yeah, yeah,
And, but they were around the big rocks. My oldest sister, Susie, when she passed away, that was almost 25 years ago.
yeah.
So if you're a parent and you've lost a child, I haven't had that experience, and I never want that experience.
Right,
That's devastating.
right.
But for him, it wasn't a bad day in that sense. It wasn't hopelessness. It was just grief,
Yeah,
existential.
I can't even imagine. I cannot imagine. So with for you being raised in the house that you were raised in, um, I mean, there's a lot of I'm sure there's a lot of pressure that you may feel or that's put on you as a result of being the, I mean, you're the only son, right? And so you're the son of somebody so incredible, and what kind of pressure do you feel that put on you as a kid being raised in did it?
It's interesting because I felt different pressures along the way. And I think some people might relate to this. First off, Dad never put any pressure on us, or Mom, for that matter. And by the way, it's been almost a year since Mom passed away, and Dad said many times, if it wouldn't have been for the redhead, you never heard of Zig Ziglar. So, Mom gets more than half the credit, right?
Yeah.
For our family. But Dad never put pressure on us. He said, look, whatever you want to do, as long as you do it with 100% effort and 100% integrity, I'm going to support you, right? He just opened it up, right? He wanted us to go, and this is what he believed. His dad's definition of success is real simple. Success is the maximum utilization of the abilities that God gave you. And it's not compared to what other people do. It's not what your parents or your spouse or your friends or the world at large say you should do. Success is maximizing the gifts and talents that you have. The thing that wasn't optional was the whole character and integrity thing.
Right. That's kind of important.
And so that never was there. But when I started speaking, I didn't want to. It's only been recent that I started speaking in the last 10 years.
You didn't want to be a speaker?
No. First off, I've been the CEO here for almost 25 years.
Wow.
And my role was to create the stage for the best speaker in the world. Right? So why would I want to go speak, right? I mean, that was just the reality. Now, a lot of people said, hey, you should go speak. You've got your own view on, your own perspective on things. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. Well, about 10 years ago, I started doing it, and I enjoyed it, but boy, did I hate the build up to it. The anxiousness, the worry, and I had to really get inside myself. And I don't know if anybody's listening, if you can relate to this, to where you're like so far out of your comfort zone and you've got that pressure coming down. And so, Ken, what I did is I metaphorically, I put myself in the corner and I had a talk with myself. And I said, why are you so, what's bugging you so much? And the answer was, I thought people want me to be like my dad. Well, let me just say this. Hundreds of people came to Dad and said, hey, I want to be the next Zig Ziglar. And he always said, that's a horrible idea.
He said that?
Yeah, he said, that's a horrible idea.
Right.
He said, the only thing you can do is be the best version of you, right?
Yep.
You can't be Zig Ziglar just like I can't be you.
Right.
If you want to go out and speak and change lives, that's awesome. If you want to write books, that's awesome. If you want to make sales, that's awesome. But be you. And so then I realized that I had this faulty. I told myself a lie, that people wanted me to speak like Zig Ziglar. No, they didn't. What they wanted me to be was to be the best me I could be.
Yeah.
Now, they expected me to have the same principles and values.
Right.
Right. But let's just face it. Ken, you know me, I'm a nerd. I don't run around on stage, jumping up and down. And if I did that, people would go, who is this guy? He's faking it. Right.
Right. You don't do the get down on one knee thing?
No. So when I came to terms with that, when I said, you know what, I've got my own perspective, my own style, and as long as I'm constantly working on that to make that the best it can be,
Yeah.
then that's my obligation.
And I think you and I are very close in age. I believe. I don't know for sure, but you might be a little younger than me. Maybe I'm not sure. You definitely look younger than me. So, but the as far as the like when you were in high school, had your dad really made it at that point? Like, I mean, he became a massive, massive personality globally, and had he made it that far yet, or was he still in the building stage?
In 1974 is when the book "See at the Top" came out,
Okay, yeah,
and that really put him on the map
yeah,
in the public's eye.
right,
Because that got the attention of the media and the publishers and all that. The PMA rallies really happened. For PMA stands for positive mental attitude. For
yeah,
anybody who's less than 40, you may not have heard that term,
right,
uh, but and those were the first events that I'm aware of that would have 10, 12, 15, 20,000 people. Those started happening in the late 70s, and so
yeah,
they had people like Norman Vincent Peale and Paul Harvey and Art Linkletter and all those guys showing up.
yeah,
That. And then it was just one kind of bestseller after another, huge events, really until the mid 2000s, like 2007, 2006. And they still had a bunch of them. I think, see, he probably did his last big event in 2010, maybe 2011. And so it was literally, Ken, a 30-year time frame where he was doing at least 30 events a year with an average size of at least 12,000.
that's insane, man. I mean, he was packing stadiums, but look, my curiosity, and I think a lot of people, maybe, I don't know, is what kind of your dad is probably one of the most has probably one of the most famous names ever. Like, there's Jesus, I don't, Zig Ziglar. That's that maybe in my mind, but I'm curious about what kind of an impact it had on Tom Ziglar growing up, and you're in high school. I mean, did it? I'm curious, I guess, more about the did it put any undue pressure on you or anything like that? And it sounds like it didn't.
It didn't. And I'll tell you what was really cool is if we were on a trip with him and we were going to an event where he was speaking, or if we were just somewhere on vacation, or even if we're just in Dallas, whenever somebody would come up to him, whether it was in the lobby of a hotel or at a restaurant or wherever, they would say, "Hey, you're Zig Ziglar." And then they would introduce themselves. And then they would always say this: "I heard you speak. I read your book. I listened to your audio program. It changed my life."
That's
And you
awesome.
know what? It's not like a professional athlete or a celebrity who like, "Oh, you're famous. Can we get a selfie? Can I get your autograph?" I
Right.
mean, that's taking from them.
Yeah.
The people who were coming up with Dad were saying thank you, and
Yeah.
that's a different perspective. I mean, I don't know about you, but I can be interrupted as many times as there are to be interrupted for somebody to come up with gratitude and say thank you.
Amen, man. Amen. I'm with you. That's what I
That's what,
live for. That's what you live for.
that's what life's about.
It is. And so you get out of high school, you decide to go to college. And I heard and we'll get into the movie here in a little bit, but the in the movie you say, that your dad didn't do well in high school. He went to college, but he didn't graduate because he. And what was the saying that he had? You quoted in the movie. That
Yeah, he said in school he never did well. He was in the part of the class that made the top half possible.
Right. I think a lot of us can relate to that. So you go to college. What'd you major in?
Political science.
Well, that works perfectly with speaking.
Yeah, it does. It works with everything except for nothing. Yeah.
Right. So you went and you get out of college and you decide to go to work at the Zig Ziglar Corp. And what was your first position? Was it warehouse work or?
It was in the warehouse shipping boxes and packages and all of our books. And back then it was VHS and audio tape. And
Yeah.
then after about 6 or 8 months of that, I moved into our production. We actually manufactured our own cassette tapes and our own VHS. I mean, we did all that, and I would pack boxes and put the labels on and all that stuff. And from there, I moved into sales and then sales management and then leadership. So that was my journey. So kind of from the inside out, which is a great way to learn it. But what I thought we were in was the book and tape business.
Right.
And then everything changed when I realized, we weren't selling books and tapes. We were selling hope. We were in the life-changing business.
I love that, man. I actually, when I grabbed this book, the Secrets to Closing the Sale, is that it? Yeah, Secrets of Closing the Sale. I grabbed it off my bookshelf, and it was right next to a VHS goals program. I have a VHS old. I don't even know how old. 20. It's got to be 20 years old.
Maybe my fingerprints are on the label.
Right? I know. I need to have it dusted. But so again, I'd say just about everybody on this stream and anybody that's going to watch this or hear the podcast has in some way listened to or been affected by your dad and your family. So, you played a big role in that as you took over as CEO 25 years ago. That's huge. That's absolutely huge. So when you got into you got into sales eventually there, right? What were you selling?
I was selling all our stuff.
Yeah.
Our different programs, seminars, speakers, books and CDs. I promoted events. I'll tell you the first sale I ever made. I'd gone through a week of sales training. So everybody who's ever been in sales, okay, you remember your first sale.
Right.
And so here I'm a young kid. I'm guessing I'm 25, and I'm on the phone. So this is back in the days when people called you. I mean, those were awesome days.
Yeah.
So I'd been through the week-long training, and I answered the phone, and this guy on the other end of the line, he was ancient. He was probably in his early 60s. This is all perspective.
Right.
And he says, "Hey, I'm so glad I'm talking with you. I need your help. My daughter is married, and my son-in-law is a dentist. Good guy, great family. They got 3 kids under the age of 5, and he's got college debt, and he just bought his dental practice. So there's an enormous amount of debt in this family, and they're going through a really tough time right now. They're going to be okay, but I just want to know, what do you have that could help them as a couple, as a family, personally, do better through this time?" And
no pressure.
So I went into catalog mode. I mean, freshly trained, and I'm like, "Oh, well, we got A, and we got da da da, and we got B." Well, this guy, about 20 seconds into it, he cut me off, and he said, "Hey, Tom, I tell you what, here's my American Express card. You just send them whatever you think they need. Let's pray."
Wow.
So that's my first sale.
Wow. That's a laydown.
So the point is I had nothing to do with that sale.
Right.
That sale was reputation.
Yeah. Wow.
And that's the thing is people struggle, they go through hard times, and we lose our perspective. When the reality is all we have is our reputation, our good word, our name. And right out of the gate, I was witnessing what happens when you do the right thing. It's
Wow.
it's never wrong to do what's right. And so the reason, and I don't know, I mean, I'm thinking of the greatest, what the world would say, just the general public and the experts would say, okay, if we looked at the top 50 speakers of the last 50 years, was there anybody who had a more sustained run being in the top echelon who never had any type of scandal or issue or call against them? I mean,
Right.
just like nobody
You're
really.
right. You are 1000% correct.
Now, I do want to. Do want to put a caveat in that. I think that the most powerful speakers in the world, a lot of times, are ones who messed up and got the scars and the burns, and then figured it out, and are now doing it right.
Yeah.
Right, and I see that type of speaker literally change so many lives.
Yeah.
Dad he just came up at a time and in an age where he was always a good guy trying to do his best, and then suddenly he figures out the how to explain it, and just took off.
So as a the son of Zig Ziglar, your sister Cindy just hopped on the stream. I love Cindy; she's amazing. But
She's the happy. Dad called her the happy tadpole.
when just a quick little side story, we lost when I met my wife, she had someone else in her life that was far more important than me, and that was a little corgi named Lulu. And we just lost Lulu a few months ago, and Cindy got wind of it. She heard. I don't know. I think she saw it on Facebook or something. She literally sent this beautiful print of the dog to my wife. She texts my wife every day, just wishing her well wishes. She's such a just, and that's the thing about you and your family is like, what? How did you just say it? It's never wrong to do what's right, or never the wrong time to do what's right. Is that what you said?
Yeah, it's never wrong to do what's right.
And that's it shows in everything that you and everyone around you is doing in life. So what was it? You said it was 8 or 9 years ago that you decided to start speaking. What was the catalyst for that? Because here you are 25 years into being the CEO of the company, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, now I'll speak. Was somebody putting pressure on you?
Well, there was a couple of things. Dad's career was winding down from his health perspective and everything. We knew that he wouldn't be speaking much longer, and I kept getting invitations.
Yeah.
And so you put two and two together, it's like, yeah, I'll go do that. That sounds like fun. And then I would commit, and I'm like, oh no, what have I gotten myself?
You're like, oh, I actually have to go deliver a speech now?
Yeah, what am I going to talk about?
Right.
And, and of course, I've been raised on what we do, and I've had the privilege of hearing the greatest speakers and authors and experts and everything. I mean, that's one of the unique things that I've had access to is kind of the green room, the behind the scenes, the pivot points, the turning points of what really has an impact in people's lives. So now it's like not what, now it's hard to narrow something down, right? Because the TED Talk craze and everything, it's like if you get more than 30 minutes, you're lucky.
Yeah.
And it's really, when you think about it, it's hard to say hello in less than 30 minutes.
That's so true. It's true. I mean, and you guys are obviously, I mean, the Zig Ziglar Facebook page has almost 5 million fans on it, and which is just, I don't know of another page with that many, not as far as a speaker is concerned. And so I know you have that, and you go on there, and you help a lot of people. I see it all the time. As a matter of fact, I just got my badge recently. I've been recognized as one of Zig Ziglar's top fans on Facebook. I'm like, yes. And they're like, do you want to display your badge? And I'm like, yeah, duh. Like, are you kidding me? So like, but let's talk a little bit about your book. I mean, you also just recently decided to write and publish a book, your first book. And let's talk about that. What made you decide to write a book?
Well, Dad started telling me 20 years ago, when are you going to write your book?
Yeah.
Big believer in that, that everybody should write a book. And when he started telling people you should write a book, that was before the day when self-publishing was relatively easy and inexpensive.
Yeah.
Back then it was arduous. But he told people, he said, even if you never have it published, it'll be the best thing you ever do.
Yep.
Because it makes you crystallize the things that are important to you, especially if the book is on, success or personal development or principles or values, which the book Choose to Win is.
Yeah.
So for a long time, I've known I was going to write a book, but I'm kind of an in my head kind of person, personality wise, and I'm always learning something new. And so every time I would get to a place, it would be like, oh, I can do more than that. I think that's an intellectual description of procrastination is all that is.
Yeah, right.
I was speaking in Australia in an all-day event, 150 business owners and real estate investors. And somebody in the rooms, at the first break, they just said, Tom, I got a question. What's the fastest way to success? I'd never been asked that question before.
That's a great question.
It is.
Everybody's walking around probably thinking that.
Yeah, but the way they ask the question is, what do successful people do, or what are the keys to success? I just love this guy's like total, directness. What's the fastest way?
Yeah.
Well, been in the business all these years, never been asked that question. And I just blurted out, the fastest way to success is to replace bad habits with good habits. We went to the break, came back in, and then Steve McKnight, who was my host and a good friend and mentor of mine, he kicks off after the break. He's bringing me back up, and he says, hey, before Tom comes up, everybody get your pen out. Did you hear what Tom just said? He said the fastest way to success was to replace bad habits with good habits. And I did the double take, right? I'm looking left. I'm like, hey. I literally got my pen out and wrote it down.
You're like, who's this Tom guy everybody's talking about?
So I went on teaching the whole day.
Wow.
And then I went back to my room that night, and this was in Melbourne.
Yeah.
And I went to my room that night, and about 8:30 at night was when I finally got back to the room. I go on the internet and I type in Google, who said the fastest way to success is to replace bad habits. I was convinced that I'd read that and it just popped out. Nobody had said it.
Wow.
So I sent an email to our office and said, hey, turn this into a poster and put it on Facebook because I'm claiming this. And then on that trip, I still had 4 or 5 legs in the trip. I was speaking in a bunch of places on that trip.
Yeah.
I thought about it the whole time, and I looked at it from kind of a Ziglar lens. So at Ziglar, we teach that there are 7 core areas of life. There's our mental, our mindset, our spiritual, the character qualities that we have, physical, our health, our family, our financial, our personal, and our career. And I just asked that simple question, if I just took a little bitty bad habit in one of those areas and replaced it with a little bitty good habit, what would my life look like at the end of the year if I did that once a week or twice a month?
Right.
Whole new person. And so suddenly success in what people want is a very doable plan. And I think that's my strength is, there's so much hype, there's so much magic pill, there's so much, buy this, come to this event, it'll change your life. And everything that Dad taught and everything that I teach is, yeah, you can make a choice right now that'll change the trajectory of your life.
Yes.
But the definition of a habit is simply this: it's making a good choice over and over and over again. That's what a habit is, a good habit.
Yeah.
So what we do in the book is we really break it down. And then there's a key component to the book is what we start with is unless you have a compelling why, if you don't know why you're doing it, if you don't know your purpose and your passion and your why, it's going to be hard to keep making good choices.
Is it, in your opinion, do you think it's possible for a person to have more than one purpose, one why, more or do you think that everybody was born here and placed here on planet Earth with a specific purpose that they're supposed to fulfill, a destiny?
That's an awesome question because it's probably that question is the root of procrastination for so many.
Oh, I agree 1,000,000% with you on that.
So here we go. Let me explain what I just said. If you believe you only have one why, one purpose, what if you get it wrong? What if you put the stake in the ground and you head off and you learn that's not my deal? Right. So what happens, and this is especially true of Christians and believers, right?
Yep.
Because how do I know God's will, God's purpose for my life? With 100% certainty, specifically what I was designed to do. Well, if it's hard to discern, right? And so you don't put any stake down. And so Dad said this: you'll be a wandering generality instead of a meaningful specific.
It's one of my favorite quotes.
But there are things like, what's my why? Well, if, Julie, my sister Julie, who's awesome, she says, hey, you know what? My purpose, my why is to do the next thing God puts in front of me.
Yeah.
That's pretty broad, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It is.
I think a purpose and a why for every one of us is to maximize the gifts and talents God's given us. I mean, I see so many people struggle because they want to be successful like somebody else and they don't have the same gifts and talents.
Right.
And so they constantly try to move a level 3 gift or talent to a level 9, and it's almost impossible to move more than a couple of levels.
Right.
If it's from, let's just look at singing. I have the gift of singing.
You do?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. But the talent level is a
The what?
It's a 1. On the scale of 1 to 10, I'm like a 1 singer. So I could decide that that's my goal, my purpose, and I could spend tons of energy into it, and I could move my singing ability to a 3, 4, maybe even a 5. But I'm never going to compete with somebody who was born a 7.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And so I believe my why, my purpose is to maximize the gifts that God's given me to do what's in front of me. And then that kind of narrows down the direction that I go. And then I tell people, hey, when you've got a good idea of where you want to go 100% out. Put the stake in the ground, go for it, and then you'll learn new things along the way and you'll course correct. Another way to look at it is this. It's like picking a college. I heard this, Jarrett Stevens, he's a preacher at our church. He said, when you're a high school senior and you got to pick your college, you might have like 7 or 8 schools that you want to go to, And you could think that there's only one that's the right one. And if I don't get in or I pick wrong, I'm missing the bullseye. And he drew this illustration on the board of all these different schools. He said, that's not the way it works. The way it works is you make the best choice you can, doesn't matter which one it is. And then you become the person God created you to become, and then that becomes the bullseye of your life. Right?
What do you think because I believe, and I'm sure you've been through this, where even though you have goals, it might be, maybe it's, to have a family and a house in the suburbs with a white picket fence and whatever, right? And be debt free. Maybe maybe your goal is to have a private jet and fly all over the world and have billions of dollars, whatever it is. But what I think a lot of people are, even though they have goals, they're still wondering generalities, in the sense of they're looking for what you were just talking about. They're looking for that purpose. How do you think, or what's the best way someone would identify what they're supposed to be doing?
Well, let me give a couple of things. Dr. Robert Rohn, he's one of the foremost experts in the world on DISC, the personality profile system. And he was here at our company speaking probably about a month ago. And he was also Dad's class pastor back when I was in high school. So I've known him my whole life.
Yeah.
And so he told a lot of Zig stories as his class pastor, and he had a different perspective, and he was sharing them with the class. And so one of the things that I'd forgotten that Dad used to say, Dr. Rohn went to him and said, Zig, I want to do well in life. How do I do well, right? And Dad said this. He told him, never chase money. It's too fast. You'll never catch it. Instead, chase solving problems for people, and then the money will find you.
Wow. That's powerful, man.
And so the idea of somebody having a goal to have a jet, that's an awesome goal. I love it.
Yeah.
But the way you get that goal is you solve a lot of problems.
Yeah.
The more problems you solve, as Rabbi Lapin says, the more certificates of appreciation you'll have.
Right.
And we call that money.
Right.
Now here's, Dad's quote that everybody knows is, you can have everything in life you want if you'll just help enough other people get what they want.
Yeah.
Rabbi Lapin says this. He says, God's never happier with his children than when they're solving the problems of his other children. So here's what's cool. Here's what's cool about that is,
wow.
And I believe we have a moral obligation to solve other people's problems. If you have a product or service that benefits somebody and they need it, you have a moral obligation. And what's cool is the byproduct of that is certificates of appreciation, which we call money.
Right.
So the people who, in almost all cases, the people who solve the most problems, they have the most certificates. So the first thing is, don't chase money. Don't chase success. Chase solving other people's problems.
Wow, that's powerful, man. That is powerful.
Second is, you've got to become the person who automatically solves problems. It's like in your DNA that when you come into your area of expertise, you can't help but do anything but lift people up, encourage them, solve their problem, make their life better in some way. And it's impossible to do that. Dad's philosophy, you got to be before you can do, and you got to do before you can have. Be, do, and have means that you got to be the right kind of person first, and then do the right things before you can have all that life has to offer.
what do you think? And Tom, I know you're unbelievably busy guy, so I don't want to keep you on here forever. But what do you think the I work with a lot of people. You and I've talked many times about stuff, but I work with a lot of people that get stuck, and they're stuck in the pain of something that they did wrong, or something that happened to them that turned their life upside down, and they couldn't get past it, and so what do you think the biggest thing is that holds people back from what you're talking about, like finding their purpose, going out? And because I could say happiness, money, success, whatever, but it all comes down to living your purpose, like really doing what you're talking about. What do you think stops most people? Because most people go to their grave not having found any purpose.
I think, to me, the number one thing that stops people is the story they tell themselves.
Mm.
I'll explain it. I'm friends with Seth Godin. We email a couple of times a year, so it's not like we hang out and eat, but if he has a question or have a question, we have that kind of relationship. And he tells the story of Ambien. And are you familiar with Ambien?
Ambien?
Ambien, yeah, it's a drug.
Yeah, the sleep thing or whatever.
Yeah, it helps you sleep.
I only know because I've seen their stupid commercials. But anyway.
Well, Ambien has a lot of side effects.
Yeah.
Sleepwalking, crazy stuff.
Yeah.
I was on a sales call in Houston, and I went in, and the VP of sales was there, and his shoulder was in a sling. I said, "What happened to your shoulder?" And he said, "Well, I take Ambien." He said, "I took Ambien, and then I forgot that I took the Ambien, and I took another one. And in the middle of the night, I slept walk outside and walked right into my pool, which was empty, and I broke my shoulder."
Oh my gosh.
Think about it. So here's what Ambien does. And they did a study on Ambien. So this is crazy. Do you want to guess how many extra minutes of sleep you get on average when you take Ambien versus when you don't? And this is sleep studies, brain waves, all kinds of people. How many extra minutes do you get?
I feel like I'm being set up here, so I'm just gonna say 15.
Yeah, 17 minutes.
Is it really? I was
17
close.
minutes.
Wow. Wow.
Okay, so you get all these side effects: sleepwalking, sleep eating, cooking. People think they slept all night, and they got them on video mowing the yard in the middle of the night. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
But this is what happens. The number one property of Ambien is it's an amnesiac.
Wow.
So you take your Ambien at 8 o'clock at night, and the next thing you know, the alarm goes off at 7 in the morning, and you can't remember anything. You remember taking the Ambien, and it's 7 o'clock, and you're like, wow, I slept 11 hours.
Wow. That's insane.
And so what happens is you tell yourself, I slept 11 hours, I feel fantastic.
Mm.
And so all day long, your body and your attitude and your actions are as if you just got 11 hours sleep.
Right.
Even though your Ring camera keeps going off all night long because you're running an outside out, sleepwalking, you cooked a meal, and you literally only got 4 hours of sleep.
My gosh.
Hold yourself, you slept great. So everybody has life happen to them.
Yes.
It just does. In the book Born to Win, there's a story of twin brothers, and one of them's in prison, and one of them is a very successful businessman.
This is Choose to Win.
Yeah.
Born to Win. Sorry.
Yeah, that's the other one.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
you need
yeah.
both, right?
Yeah.
So the story is that they go to the brother who's in prison, and he says, remember, these are twin brothers.
Yeah.
He said, they asked him, what are you doing in prison? You're in here for like 30 years. And he said, well, where else would you expect for me to be? My father was abusive. He was an alcoholic. He was mean. He abused my mother. Where else would you expect me to be? Then they go to his twin brother and they say, you own 9 businesses, you're a multimillionaire, you give, hundreds of thousands of dollars to charity. How do you explain your success? And he said, well, where else would I be? My father was an alcoholic, abusive, wife beater, no good human being. I spent my whole life trying to be the opposite of him.
Mm.
So these two people came out of the same exact circumstance. In fact, they were twins, 2 totally different reactions.
Wow.
And so the people who were stuck, who've been through the fire, who've had unfortunate, and I'm not denying the unfortunate circumstance. I mean, yeah, that's it. You've got it. You came from a broken home, or you lost your business, or your mate cheated on you, or whatever the thing is that happened. But the reality is you now have a choice to either say, that's the anchor that's going to ever keep me from rising up, or that's the launch pad that's going to help me grow to the next level. Because when we go through the furnace and the fire and we overcome that, we're actually stronger and better able to solve other people's problems. It's just the way of life. And so to me, the number one thing that holds people back is the story they tell themselves.
Amen, man. Amen.
So we got to change that story. And a lot of times it takes, and this is what we do at Ziglar, is it takes somebody to believe in you, to say you can do more than you think you can.
Yep.
And encourage and give hope and give a plan and give accountability. And that's why I love people who do one-on-one coaching. That's why I love people who are always there with an encouraging word. And that's why I love people who say, hey, here's the standard. You can meet the standard.
Yep.
Guess what? None of us meet it all the time. It's okay.
None of us do.
That's right.
You're right. And I believe it was Jesus that said, ye among you without sin cast the first stone. And that's, I use that a lot, not just in my life, but in helping others. I'm like, dude, put the stick down, quit beating yourself up. Everybody screws up in life. It's just part of the journey.
Right. And, we started off the conversation and you said, Zig Ziglar was known as maybe one of the most positive human beings who ever walked the planet.
Right.
And I just wanted to make this comment, and that is that not only was Dad incredibly positive about everything, and he looked at every situation with the eyes of how can I have an opportunity here, an opportunity to learn, an opportunity to grow, an opportunity to help someone, an opportunity to solve someone's problem. Everything was an opportunity. But he looked at his positive nature was not the fake it till you make it positive.
Right.
It was literally thousands of hours of study, of practicality that said every study, every evidence always shows the same thing. A positive attitude will outperform a negative attitude every time.
Amen.
So if somebody said to you, hey, if I could pay you just for a living, would you want me to pay you $100 a day or $1,000 a day?
10,000 a day.
Yeah, you're going to take the bigger number.
Sure, absolutely. Right? Yes.
Let me just tell you that if you adopt a positive mindset, like if that becomes a core belief and that you have a choice over that, it's literally the same between picking $100 and $1,000 a day.
You're there, and I've looked for this, and I'm gonna have to end up reading every book your dad ever wrote to find it. He told a story, and I've even Googled it and I can't find it. He told a story about, and I don't remember exactly, but it was about life will pay you what you ask of it. He told this story about a married couple, and they grew old, and do you know what I'm talking about?
Is it the story about, these, they were like 90 when they were getting married because they waited for everything to be perfect?
Yes, that's it.
So that's either in Secrets of Closing the Sale or Ziglar on Selling.
Okay. It's such a power, and it's like it's a poem, I think, right?
It's a poem, yeah.
Yeah. so absolutely phenomenal because so many people wait for everything to be perfect. I do social media coaching, teaching people how to go live and stuff like that, right? And one of I'm like well I got to get an umbrella studio light first, and I got to have the right camera, and I got to have and I wish I could just email them that poem and go, dude, stop waiting on everything to be perfect. It's not ever gonna be.
Right. And
It's
you know what's interesting is people more and more value authenticity and transparency.
Amen.
So I would rather see okay or good enough lighting in somebody who's authentic than I would a perfect set and a fake smile.
Amen, man. Amen. Let's talk real quick about we're coming up to an hour already. I can't believe it. So let's talk a little bit about the movie because the movie Born to Win, it's a documentary film, just came out, and it's free to anybody that has Amazon Prime. Is it still?
Yes.
Okay. Um, Absolutely a life-changing movie. And I say that, dude, at the end, I gotta say this. I was sobbing like a little baby. I'm like, what the heck is going on? Stop! I'm like, quit crying. I literally, like, at the end of that, I was blown away. It was phenomenal. But let's talk about where that came from. How did that movie come about? It was phenomenal, and you're in it a lot, and you're both, your sisters, and there's so many phenomenal people in it. Lori's in it.
You know, Andy Costa, who we've been working with for quite some time now, probably over 5 years, he's a Emmy award-winning producer, filmmaker, and he said, "Hey, I want to do a Zig documentary," and so he kind of laid it all out. So that's how the movie came about. There's probably 15 or 20 different interviews in the movie of different people. We reached out to people whose lives have been impacted by Dad. So we've got, Dave Ramsey and some other names that people would know.
Yeah.
But really, I think it's called Zig. You Were Born to Win is like the official title on Amazon, but you'll find it however you type it in.
Yeah.
But the underlying theme of it was, if Zig can, you can.
Yeah.
So it traces his life of growing up in Yazoo City, Mississippi. Started working selling peanuts on the corner when he was 6 years old. His dad died when he was 5. His mom had a 5th grade education. So he's raised by a single mom in the poorest state in the Great Depression.
Yeah.
10 to 12 kids. How did he get from there to where he, ended up? And it's a series of choices. Of course, his faith played a huge part of it, and his belief and what he decided to do and the actions that he decided to take. And so you see his life unfold, and then you see all these other lives that he's impacted. And at Ziglar, we're all about legacy. Right. And I think Dad's real gift was to show people how they could become the person God created them to become, with the wisdom that they could then go and show somebody else the same thing. And so that's why there's kind of a who's who of people out there who are changing lives, and a lot of them will go back to the root. And one of the great influences was Zig Ziglar, because he believed in them. He taught them how to become the best person they could become, and then he equipped them to go out and share that with somebody else. And that's what it's all about.
What an incredible legacy, and what an incredible, life for you. And one of the things that I loved about the story, which I didn't even know, and here I've been, reading, listening to Zig, those tapes you used to ship out when you worked in the shipping department. I wore some of those cassette tapes out. I would think, oh my gosh, I tried making copies of them just so I could have them, so I didn't have to keep calling or ordering new tapes. You're like, oh, so Ken, you're confessing to breaking the copyright laws. Cool. But so, I mean, I wore out those tapes, and so he impacted my life. I honestly think your father saved my life, because I was headed in a bad direction, man, when I started listening to Zig Ziglar's tapes and reading the books and stuff. So, and that was many, many years ago. But like, what an incredible opportunity for you to continue, and not just you, because you guys offer things at the Ziglar Corp for just a regular old dude like me to come in there and go through training and become a Ziglar certified. Is that what it's called?
Yeah. So the best way to find out about that is just at Ziglar.com.
Yeah.
My internal code word is I have in my head what I call the life map. And so we have people from all over the world. I mean, every continent. And for some people, the life map, it starts with our Ziglar Show podcast, which is free. You can get tons of content there. The more you listen to it, the more it'll change your life. Other people want a program. They want to get a book or a CD series or an online course. Other people want to come to headquarters and go through, and then kind of like the top level of this is our Ziglar Legacy certification. And that's for people who want to transform themselves in their life. And then most of the time, almost always, they want to help other people transform too. So we certify these people to teach our material. And they're all over the world, like 20 countries now. So
hundreds, it's insane. Hundreds and hundreds of millions of lives impacted in a positive way. That's incredible, Tom. It's incredible what you're doing. And you get up every day and you go to work and you keep doing the deal. I know I was down there. We were talking about that. I was at Ziglar HQ about a year ago. And it's just incredible. You bounced off of one meeting, came in, shook my hand, we hung out for a little bit, and then you went back to another meeting. And you're just always going, man. And I love it. And your energy, your positivity, you definitely did. You're genetically predispositioned, I guess, to have that, because it was pretty cool. So Jeff Hart's on here. He says he's a certified. I saw it somewhere. Certified trainer.
Yeah, Jeff is in Texarkana area, and he's amazing. So if you're needing a speaker, trainer, all around good guy, reach out to Jeff if you're in that area. He's awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah, maybe I'll have him on the show too. That'd be great. So
yeah, you'll have to put a damper on the mic, because he'll get pretty excited.
That's funny. Well, Tom, I don't know if I've left anything out. I can't wait to go back and watch this again. You dropped a lot of nuggets of wisdom. So, I can't thank you enough. I so appreciate you taking the time to come on here.
All right. Well, it's been a blessing and an honor. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And thank you to everybody who watched this, shared it out. Thank you to everyone. Tom, don't hang up on Skype yet. If you would, give me a minute. Thank you, guys. I appreciate all of you. If you're not following Tom, what's the best way for people to follow you on social media?
Let's see. I'm Tom Ziglar.
Okay.
So, or I think it might be the Tom Ziglar or at Tom Ziglar, Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn.
Okay.
Ziglar.com. If you want to reach out to me directly, that's great. I love hearing from people.
You're amazing.
You can get the book Choose to Win at Ziglar.com or Amazon or anywhere.
Definitely.
If you get it from Ziglar.com, I'll sign it for you.
Man, I wish I would. I bought this during the pre-order push, though.
Because you're the man.
I'm going to come down and get you to sign it for me. So everybody, make sure you follow Tom. He's doing amazing things, traveling all over the world, speaking, helping millions of people. Tom, thank you so much. I appreciate you. You guys have an amazing day. Thank you again for watching and sharing.